Hello everyone and welcome to this lesson. In this lesson, we're going to cover Lydende Bedrywende Vorm, which in English means active and passive voice. Now, a lot of you guys struggle with this particular lesson, but I'm going to show you a very easy trick to master this in a really, really simple way. Please bear in mind that this is only the basic level, which means that it is without all the other tricks that they can give you, but I promise you that it will help you get over the first hurdle of passing active and passive voice. So let's get started. So what do you need to know for Lydende Bedrywende Vorm? So you need to know Stompy really well. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Stompy is the acronym we use for sentence construction. So it starts with the subject, then time, object, manner, place, and infinitive, okay? And then there'll be verb 1 over here in between S and T, and verb 2 over here between P and I. So if you do not know how Stompy works, I would really advise you to just familiarize yourself with it before you start here. Now, the second thing you need to do is be able to identify the object and start the sentence with it, and I'll show you how to do that soon. And then number 3 is to identify the verb. Once you've identified the verb, you need to identify in which tense it is. Is it past, present, or future? And then once you've done that, number 4 would be that you must remember to use the word deur, which also means by in English. Who was the action done by? But don't worry too much if you don't understand what I mean yet. I'll show it to you in an example. And number 5, the verb that you get will always go to the end of the sentence and it will have ge in it. So normally when you use ge, it's for an action that's done in the past tense, but you'll see exactly how you're going to use it going forward. So like I said, you really need to know Stompy well. So Stompy, like I said, represents the subject, the person doing the action. Then you have your first verb here, and then you're going to have time. So time, manner, and place, those are all adverbs. So because the sentence will normally contain a verb, that's why in some cases it will also have time, manner, and place in it. So it's a very important part of sentence structuring, okay? And then you also have your object here, infinitive, that's for later, but I really just need you to understand the sentence construction, okay? Next, the steps that I showed you before, apart from you knowing Stompy, they will follow this recipe. So number 1, find the object there. And then number 2, identify the tense. So find the verb and then identify the tense. And then number 3, add deur plus the subject. And number 4, take the main verb to the end and put it in the past. So I'm going to show you now. So before we get to the examples, remember what we said here about identify the tense. Right? Once we've identified the tense, we need to use specific words in the passive voice that will replace those verbs in order for us to make sure that our sentence construction is fine. So if your sentence is in the past, verlede tyd, then you're going to use is. If it's in the present tense, teenwoordige tyd, you're going to use word, and if it's in the future, toekomende tyd, you're going to use sal, and then the rest of the sentence, and then word at the end. Let's look at the first example. So here we have a sentence in the past. Ben het die bal geskop, and then we have teenwoordig Ben skop die bal, and then we have toekomende Ben sal die bal skop. Okay, so what I want us to do first is definitely the teenwoordige sentence, which is the present tense. Ben skop die bal. Ne? So that will be our subject. This will be verb 1, and die bal would be the object. So what do the rules say? The rules say we need to start with finding the object. So finding the object, die bal. And that's what we're going to start with, die bal. Then second rule says find the tense or identify the tense. And we can see here that the tense is present tense. And what do we do when we are in the present tense? We use the word word. So this will be our verb 1. So now we have die bal word. So this is now going to be our verb 1. And then the rules say that you must add dear. Dear means by. So now we changed it. We started with the object, but now we have to say the object is being done by who, right? So then you're gonna say dear and then the subject. Um, so the subject here is Ben. So now you're at die bal word dear Ben. So remember you add dear and then the subject, and then dear and then the subject, and then number 4 you take the main verb, put it at the end and put it in the past. And here you'll see there's the main verb in the past tense at the end of the sentence. So now we went from Ben skop die bal to die bal word deur Ben geskop. If you follow this exact recipe, your answer will never be wrong. Now let's move on to the past tense. Ben het die bal geskop. So same thing. Start with the object die bal, and then because we're in the past, now we use is. Is, ne? And then rule number 3, dear the subject, dear Ben, and then this one remains unchanged, geskop, but it must just be in the past. Okay, I know it can be confusing. How can you say is for something that's in the past? That's just the rule, okay? So it's just best if you stick to it. Okay, now, toekomende tyd, future tense, Ben sal die bal skop. Same applies. Die bal, then you had to identify that it's a future sentence. Sal, and then later word, meaning you shouldn't forget the word later, okay? So sal, and there's word at the end of the sentence. So die bal sal, and then number 3, dear the subject, dear Ben, then put this in the past, geskop, geskop, and then don't forget word at the end. So that's why I put the ellipsis there, because I want you to realize that all these other things must first occur and then word will be at the end. Okay, that was very, very simple. Do you guys agree? I agree. So if you struggle with this, let me know in the comments. But this is really as simple as it gets. Once you understand this, then we can go and add all the other elements of Stompy. Then we can add time, then we can add manner, and we can add place as well as infinitive even. But once you just get these basics under control, it will never be wrong because the structure stays the same. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.